Hi, I'm Dave and I restore vintage espresso machines, and this is the 1948 Gaggia Gilda. Absolutely amazing machine. So made by a company called Gaggia, and it has another little add-on Gilda at the end. There's only two machines that I know of that have that, I guess, like kind of brand name associated with it, and it's this first version, and there was a second incarnation of this, and then after that it just went back to Gilda again. Went back to Gaggia again. So the Gaggia, Gilda, two very rare machines. This is the first version, and I happen to have an unrestored second version here. These were only really made for a couple of years. There's more of these around than you'll see of these. These ones are very highly collectible and very rare, and fully restored in great condition like this, even rarer. This one I'll cover in another day, but the basic difference, other than the aesthetic, between these two machines is that this one is a closed boiler and this one is an open boiler. So we just put that down to the side. So the name Gilda actually came about quite unusually. The owner of Gaggia went and saw a movie with Rita Hayworth, and he was so enamored with the actress that he named his coffee machine after the movie. It's called Gilda. So Gaggia Gilda. So it was only used really for this machine and that machine. This machine is, other than its name, is really quite innovative in the sense that it was the first ever home lever machine by Gilda. So before that it was just like percolators, mocha pots, all that type of stuff. Relied on extreme pressure in the boiler to push the water and steam through the coffee, and inevitably burning the coffee. This one didn't require that. It was there's a chamber and a piston, and it's the piston pressure in the chamber that creates the extraction, and you get much higher extraction, and you don't get boiling water coming through the coffee, i.e. perfect extraction at 93 degrees. So this machine is fully functional now, all new seals, everything. It doesn't have a lot of the modern gauges, like a limit stat, a pressure stat, a temperature pressure stat that modern machines have. It has an overpressure valve that's actually quite simple but yet very effective. So once the boiler reaches more than 1 bar pressure, so once you get boiling water in a closed chamber, it starts to build up pressure. Once that happens, water starts to drip out the side here through this internal weight system. So that's usually at around 100 degrees. So Gaggia's innovation was to 93 degrees was the perfect temperature that we wanted the water at, and the way that they got around that is that, or how they realized that, is they made the lid into a thermostat, and the thermostat tells you exactly when the water reaches 93 degrees. So when that happens, you would manually turn off the heating element, and then you'd be ready to extract. So that is how they did that. So this machine is, what can I say? It's absolutely stunning. I think the video will pick it up and you can appreciate it, but seeing this piece of living history in front of you is something altogether different. If I was to equate coffee machines with cars, this would be an Aston Martin DB4 or a Ferrari 328 GTS. It's a thing of beauty. It's a functioning art. Making coffee with this would be another level of a morning ritual, right? And people ask me, they say, like, does this make better coffee than any other machine? Well, I don't know, like my analogy would be once again back to cars. I mean, a Kia, you know, or a little hatch of the Korean or Japanese variety will take you from A to B, and it will most probably do it quite efficiently. But going to A to B in a 328 Ferrari or a DB4 is doing the same thing, but it's a very, very different experience, you know. So and I think that's it. It's more than the sum of its parts. But having said that, yes, it makes a lovely coffee. So let's do a little bit of a walk around. So all of this base is sand cast aluminium. The plate, the dish is aluminium. The top plate is chrome covered brass, and it's a little attention to detail. I don't know if you can see it, but here, it's right, yeah, this way, is a G for gaggia that's been drilled out. Isn't that nifty? Yeah. And other little things here, there's a ribbon pattern that goes through this, and it's got gaggia, gilda, Milano, gaggia, gilda, Milano. So I've got another unrestored machine here, so I can show you, and hopefully you can see it. This one obviously is not polished or anything, but you should be able to see the banding. And all of this would have been hand done with a press. So that's that. Also, with the restoration of this machine, that's the original heating element. So it's 1200 watt. So 1200 watt at 220, 240 volt. So I had these remade. I have a friend in Austria who makes perfect replicas, and these will last forever and a day, and they're absolutely fantastic, very efficient. So I have one fully restored, and I have another machine from my collection. Haven't decided whether I'm going to sell it or not, but this one I've decided to sell. Yeah, so that's that, I guess. So to make a coffee, let's do it. So first we turn the power on. Boom. So this has got an indicator light here, so we can see that the element is active. So this is a completely manual machine, so you can't walk away from it. You have to watch it. And I mean, that's part of the beauty. It's a manual, you know. You have to know how to drive it, and with that you get a lot of control too. So you don't have a computer telling you how to make your coffee. So basically we can look at this first and say, well, okay, it's getting up to 93 degrees. I can see it at 75 at the moment because I've already heated this up and it has the water in it. And this is closed. But also the other main indicator is as soon as I see water dripping out here, then I know that the water's quite right. So let's just empty this out. There we go. Oh yeah, so, and obviously this is where you fill your water. So this sits in here and screws in, and you fill your water in here, and then you close it with the lid / pressure gauge, temperature gauge. So that is from the unrestored machine. So let's fill up our coffee. So I'm still watching it. I can feel it's quite warm and hot, and I don't think it'll take long. So I'm looking at the top there. It's getting there. It's getting up to 80 degrees, so a little bit more. But while that comes up to temperature, I'll just fill the porter filter. Now you could use a tamp with this, and it will be fine, you know, as long as your grind isn't too fine. But basically, I find just doing it by hand and pressing down is adequate. But yeah, so put that in there. But it just depends how even you want that top. I'm sure if we had a hunt around, you'd be able to find a tamp that would fit that. So that's about right. And we just put that in here, and then There we go, we seal it and close it. Just hand tightens enough, just a little bit more. There we go. So I'm looking at that now. We're at 90 degrees. I tell you what, I am flabbergasted that this temperature gauge is so accurate. You know, this is 1948, so this is not a new machine, but they just made things differently. They made things differently back then. They made them to last. They made them to be serviced, and I can see we're almost there. I reckon we'll get a little bit of water coming out here in a minute. There we go, we're getting close. So, just while we're waiting for that to heat up. Where are we at? Okay, so I can see it's at 93, 95 degrees, coming up to 100 degrees. Now I can see it at, it's just the temperature showing 100 degrees. Yeah. And I can hear the boil. I could turn it off now and it would be fine. That would be perfect. That's exactly what I would want. Yeah. And I think that's what I might do. So we don't even have to wait for it for the OPV to start. We could. I can hear it boiling. There we go. See, I can see a little bit of water coming out now. Yeah. There we go. So we just turn that off now. So now the element is off, which is perfect. There we go. And now we can just wait a little bit if we want, just for the temperature to drop. So that's on. And now we just hold the top. This is cool. This is not hot at all. This area is actually quite hot. So now I'm going to lift it up, and lifting this up all the way is bringing water into this chamber. So all this whole chamber now is filling, and the water's sitting on top of the coffee grains and starting to sink in. Now I think only around like 4 or 5 seconds is enough. So that chamber would be full. We could leave it to the point where we see the first little drop even if we wanted to, but I think that would be too long. So now I'm going to start to do the extraction, and that's just pushing down. Now I can, first half I didn't feel any resistance, now I can feel resistance. And there you can see it, the extraction's coming down. And I think it's better if you can do it all in just one clean, consistent pressure profile. Boom, right down to the bottom, and then done. That is it. You're ready to rock and roll. So let's have a look and see what we got here. Boom. So I can see exactly 30 mils espresso. One shot. That's exactly what you want. And let's give it a try. Good. Alright, so now I can see water dripping out a little bit. That's just what's left in the lower chamber. The lower chamber is sealed now. So if we want to take this off, there still might be a little bit pressure. Might be a little bit of pressure in this bottom chamber. So the best thing to do is just lift this up a little bit, and that releases some pressure and just prevents having a little bit of that popping sound. But generally this machine doesn't work on pressure. So, you know, in the traditional sense, the whole boiler isn't pressurized, so you shouldn't really have a problem. And if the boiler, so if you want to refill this now, you know, you can, by all rights, you can take this off and it should be fine, because if it was over pressure, you'd be having water coming out the side here. But in any case, just as a safety method of operating the machine, just purge the machine a little bit before you open it, and that helps clean the head a little bit, and then you depressurize, and then you can just take this off and you can refill it again, and you're good to go. So you will need a cloth because the top of the machine is a little bit hot after the first time. There, boom, you're done. And then you just fill it up, complete the process. So this is the gaggia gilda home weaving machine. Enjoy. Thank you.